Hello and welcome once again to Breakfast All Day. I am Christy. That is Alonso. That is Matt. I don't think people are really going to Airbnbs these days, but this is a movie set in an Airbnb that goes horribly wrong. It's called The Rental, and Matt will describe it.
Yeah, if you may not be going to an Airbnb now, and after seeing this movie, you may never want to go. The Rental is about two couples, one of which is played by Alison Brie and Dan Stevens, and I can't remember the names of the other actors. And it is directed and written by co-written by Dave Franco.
It's Sheila Vand, who was in A Girl Walks Home Alone at
Night.
Jeremy Allen White.
Malibu Rum. What am I going to do?
Jeremy Allen and Dan Stevens are brothers.
Right. And they have rented this house in Oregon, and they're going to have this nice, fun, celebratory weekend. And it starts off as this kind of drama about Dan Stevens' character and his work partner who is dating his brother. And is there more to their relationship than it seems? And then it turns out, there's a camera in one of the showers, and maybe things are terrible. And then it gets really tense, and it's a thriller. And oh my God, don't ever rent a house. I like this movie.
It's our second Airbnb thriller of the summer.
Yeah,
What's the other one?
You Should Have Left.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yes. So this is sort of like, because Joe Swanberg co-wrote this with Dave Franco. May I call it mumblecore? Mumblecore?
There have been mumblecore horror films. I don't know that I would quite put this in that category.
Oh, I mean, in that it's some people who have a bit of a history in that world, but also it is them all sitting around talking. And they are of a certain age, and then eventually it does become a full-blown horror movie. This is Dave Franco's feature directing debut, and what he's trying to pull off here is pretty tricky, And for a long time he does it in a rather unassuming way, which I was impressed by. It's not terribly showy, but it is effective in making this place that seems really glamorous and lovely. It's this beautiful house right on the cliffs on the Oregon coast, and it's got a hot tub and views as far as the eye can see of the ocean and the cliffs, and it seems beautiful but also foreboding from the very beginning, and he establishes a sense of tension from the very start and does not let up. I was impressed by it because he accomplishes a lot with a little. It's smart, I guess, with your first feature, just to say, okay, I'm going to make a movie that is set essentially in one place, and that's what this is.
I'm kind of underwhelmed by this. I feel like I've seen this movie in a lot of different permutations of late and done much better. I mean, like The Invitation, I think, is a much better take on this kind of thing. I think Come to Daddy is a better take on this kind of thing. The one location thing has sort of become the stock and trade of Blumhouse. So like this is a thing that people are doing now. I think it's kind of a trope in sort of low budget indie cinema. I mean, I don't think this is a bad movie. I don't think we'd be talking about this as much if it weren't Dave Franco directing it, because it just strikes me as very average. I feel like I've seen this movie a lot of times before, and I've seen it done better by other directors.
Matt, you're frowning.
Yeah, I like this. I like this, especially for a first-time feature. And I think it. What I was impressed with is that it, clearly the filmmakers, Franco especially, and even the cast, like, they know the tropes of the genre, and they'll throw out red herrings. But then, it doesn't rely on certain things that you would expect, right? And I like that. There's some shots that I really, really liked that are surprising and scary without needing, this movie, I think, succeeds on having a sense of dread without needing jump scares, which I'm always impressed by, because you can get a cheap jump real easy. And this movie doesn't rely on that. And I thought that was pretty cool. And coupled with, like, there's enough, when things start to happen between characters, you're kind of invested in it. And so, I liked how it pivots from being this kind of tense drama about these two couples and, that are way too intertwined, to then, how that plays out with how they're going to survive this. Yeah, I liked it. I will say, it's not perfect, but I liked it a lot. I'm not sure that the way the end credits go are necessarily a favor to the film, because I think the end credits are actually more disturbing than anything else in the film.
They also explain too much, perhaps.
And not enough at the same time.
They kind of unravel everything. Like, okay, here's what's been going on all along.
Yeah, right? But it doesn't ultimately come to anything, because they do establish these characters in kind of an interesting way. Like the Sheila Van character is Middle Eastern, and so there's some thing early on of did her rental request got turned down, but then Dan Stevens's didn't, and is there racism going on here? And then there's the intertwined relationships, and so they set up all this stuff, and then it seems like this might have happened to just anybody. And so all of that stuff they bring into this weekend in this house doesn't have anything to do then with what happens at the house. I don't know. I think there's a lot of stray bits of ideas that are interesting that don't mesh well together. The payoffs don't feel particularly twisty or earned. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It is perfectly competent at what the kind of thriller that it wants to be. I just don't think it's special, and I don't think it's different.
I think this movie has done a disservice by its marketing and trailer, and not that Franco is at the level of this director, but from a standpoint of getting to know characters and then it doesn't matter anymore, it maps to what Hitchcock does with Psycho, right? Like when Marion gets it in Psycho, who cares that she's running off with the money, right? And I'm not comparing him. I'm not saying Franco is Hitchcock, but I'm okay with these. I'm okay with getting invested in these characters, and then when there's a killer among them, suddenly.
And 60 years ago, that was a shocking thing for a filmmaker to do. Now it's just kind of a sign of not great writing. I mean, even when they kill off Drew Barrymore in Scream, it's the whole notion of hey, the most famous person in this movie is dead in the first 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And this just sort of feels like a lot of ideas that don't quite come together.
This was more effective for me from a mood perspective than actual horror. It's never actually scary, but it kind of puts you on edge from the very beginning. The first thing you see is Sheila Van looking over Dan Stevens' shoulder at some computer where they are looking at some project that they're working on together. They're business partners, and they're obviously very, very close, but you could easily assume from that opening shot that they are a couple, that they are one of the two couples going off. And then you realize, oh, she's actually with the brother. And so it kind of keeps you off kilter from the very start, even with just stuff like that. And you have a tension between these two couples from the very start. And for me, that was more effective than what's really going on here. When the sense of claustrophobia, and when you are stuck and you have no Wi-Fi, and the idea of getting away from it all seems idyllic and lovely and just the thing you need, but it actually becomes a nightmare. That to me is more interesting than whatever the actual deadly horror element is that it develops into. But again, tonally, mood-wise, where he puts the camera, the way he uses the space with the cliffs and all that, I thought was effective. And again, a solid first effort, right?
Yeah.
Solid. All right. So I'm saying 7.
6.5. I think it's, like I said, it's competent, but I will forget this movie even about as fast as I forgot You Should Have Left.
What was You Should Have Left again?
That was the Kevin Bacon, Amanda Seyfried one. We reviewed it on this show.
Yes.
Dave forgot it too. I said, it's the second Airbnb movie this year. Goes, what? And I had to, nobody remembers that movie even happened. Another Blumhouse film.
In Wales or Scotland? Wales,
I think, yeah.
Wales. Okay. In Soviet Russia, house haunts you.
What's your number?
I give this an 8.
Okay.
I liked it.
Our number's a 7.2.
So thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out our Patreon page where we have lots of fun exclusive stuff for our subscribers. This week we're wrapping up our coverage of Hulu's Love, Victor, but there's also always lots of other fun stuff happening over there. So check it out at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.